Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Maggie and this is my almost 2-month-old son Eli. We are big into baby wearing, so he's there, and we're going to be talking today kind of about my 1-month postpartum update slash how the 4th trimester went for me. So there's a lot of people who believe that the postpartum period, specifically the first 40 days after your baby is born, is the 4th trimester. So there's 3 trimesters in pregnancy, and then you have the first 40 days or the 4th trimester after your baby is born. And this period is really important for mom and baby to connect and grow, but also for mom to rest, relax, rejuvenate, take care of herself, really acclimate in the world of being a mother. So I'm going to share kind of my journey in this period, this postpartum period, and I'd like to kind of separate this video just to stay a little organized. So we're going to do the baby's 1-month update, and then we'll do mom's 1-month update after that. So I do have some notes written down here, so if you see me looking down there, just looking at the notes. So the first month of having a newborn or a new baby, being a first-time mom, was kind of overwhelming, to be honest. Everybody is asked, like, how's everything going? And my response to it is equally hard and challenging as it is rewarding. Like, being a mom is the greatest thing and the most purposeful thing I have ever done and will ever do in my entire life. But it is very challenging, and it's a learning experience for both myself and my fiance Keith, but also for Eli. He is learning and growing so much in this period, and the baby goes from spending 9 months inside of the womb in a nice, warm, safe environment where they are fed automatically and really don't have to worry about anything, to be birthed and then thrown in this world where the baby has to learn to navigate everything from, like, new sights, new sounds, new way of breathing, new way of eating, new way of getting rid of waste. So it can definitely be overwhelming, not only for the parents but also for the baby, and I think that's something that's really important to remember during this time is, if your baby is a little fussy or a lot fussy, whatever, nothing's wrong with them. You don't have a fussy baby or a bad baby. The baby is just acclimating to its new environment. It's normal. So with the different things that the baby is doing, trying to figure out how to breastfeed, trying to figure out how to go to the bathroom, the baby will have different cues, or different cries, rather. So Keith and I'd say just now have really picked up on the cry when he has to burp. It's kind of like a high-pitched cry, or the cry when he needs to eat. It's a different cry. So you will notice, if you're expecting or have a baby, you will notice the baby has different cries. So it's really cool for me and for Keith to kind of learn these different cries to be able to provide what he needs. Whereas in the beginning, we were totally just guessing. Like, we said we had a checklist. So we'd go down the list of things. Like, does he need to eat? Does he need to go to the bathroom? Does he need a diaper change? Does he need to burp? Is he tired? And try to figure things out in that way. Whereas now, we're kind of just listening to him and going off of his cues more than anything, so we don't get to the cry. Sometimes we do get to the cry, but again, it's totally normal for babies to cry. That's how they communicate what they need. So I like to just remind myself of that, and not that I have a fussy baby or a bad baby. My baby just needs things. In this first month, we've also kind of figured out a routine or a schedule. We are not people that are sleep training or trying to get our baby regimented in any way. But we do have like a schedule now, just things happen to work out this way. The baby has an internal clock and we kind of roll with that. So yeah, we have a nice little routine where he's eating during the day, probably every 2 hours, and we follow the eat, play, sleep kind of routine. So he wakes up during the day and we will feed him first, and then we'll like change his diaper, we'll do tummy time and play, things like that, and then he'll take another nap. And then we just kind of repeat that throughout the day, every 2, sometimes 2.5 or 3 hours. And then at nighttime we actually get longer stretches of sleep, so we get 3 to 4 hours of sleep. If we're lucky, we'll get 4 hours in between him feeding, which is really nice. But we don't play with him, and we do change his diaper every about 2 hours or whenever he's awake at night as well. Some people say you can just leave a wet diaper on. I've learned that our baby doesn't really like wet diapers, so we just change him in the middle of the night too. It doesn't seem to disturb him too much. And with that, so yes, we like to have this routine and have things go according to plan, as anybody does, you know, it's that sense of control in life. But with a newborn, especially at like a 1 month old or less, the days are going to vary. And I think it's really important, especially like for us, something that we really had to accept is that like we need to be adaptable. We need to be flexible, because some days he's going to want to stay up longer during the night, or some days he's going to want to stay up longer during the day. Some days he's going to need more than other days, and it's all about being adaptable, being flexible, because who are we to say that he doesn't need to eat more? Who are we to say that he doesn't need to sleep more or doesn't need more time to play? And I think it's really important to just remember that he or your baby is like a person, and they have needs, and some days those needs are going to look different than other days. So yes, we have a routine, but it varies, and we're okay with that. We're learning to be okay with that. You know, we have mostly good days, you know, where he does follow some kind of schedule. But again, there are some days where, yeah, he's a little more fussy and a little more needy, and that's okay. So in this kind of first month period, he has gained 2 pounds. We actually had his 2-month appointment yesterday, which I don't think I'm going to do a 2-month update, but he is now gained 2 more pounds. So he's up about 4.5 pounds since he was born now. But in the first month, he gained about 2 pounds, which is awesome. When he was first born, he only lost 4% of his body weight. So babies do tend to lose a little bit of weight when they're first born, and they'll gain it back in the first couple of weeks. He gained his back in like a couple days. Not bragging or anything, but he's very well fed and very strong, healthy guy. So yeah, he gained 2 pounds in the first month, and he grew 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch, which is also really awesome. The pediatrician is really happy with his growth, and we're really happy with his growth. It's super exciting just to know that I am nourishing him and giving him what he needs to grow, because, you know, we are exclusively breastfeeding at this point. So that's really nice. We have read, Keith and I, we are big into digestive health and optimizing digestive health, and babies in particular, they have underdeveloped digestive systems, so they tend to be a little bit more gassy and grunt when they poop and kind of struggle a little bit with their digestive system. I mean, and if we think about it, you know, when they're born, all of these things are just coming online. You know, they're just now pooping for the first time, so of course it's gonna be a little difficult. With that being said, we've done a little bit of research, and we actually give Eli, under the recommendation of our pediatrician, a probiotic, and this will just help his digestive system kind of build the right kind of bacteria, set a good foundation for him in the future so that he doesn't have digestive issues. And there's a lot of research that shows that giving a probiotic to a baby when they are young can help with mental health or mental illness, kind of avoid those things, which, I don't know, seems like a win-win to me. So we do give him probiotic 3 times a week, not very much. It doesn't seem to make him feel sick or anything like that. We do notice that he may poop a couple less times after we give it to him. Totally normal. It's just his body adjusting to that bacteria. But overall, it does help minimize his kind of strain when pooping and his gassiness, which is a plus. So we are very much into attachment parenting, so we do a lot of baby wearing, but with that, Eli, he really does like to be held. Some people say, oh, if you hold your baby too much, they're going to be spoiled. This is false. You can't spoil a baby. And if we think about it, like I said in the beginning, babies spend 9 months in the womb, and it's a very warm, safe environment. They hear my voice, my heartbeat, and all my sounds and feel my warmth and things like that. So it only makes sense that babies, especially newborns, would want to be held and be close to mom, but also dad, outside of the womb. It just makes sense. So he does like to be held a lot. We do hold him a lot. We don't have any like swings or kind of things that you put your baby in. We rarely put him down. We'll put him down to change him. Sometimes our parents will hold him. But for the most part, we're holding him. We're baby wearing, and he loves it. So, if you do have an extra needy baby, I think it's okay. And I'm not saying needy in a negative way, but, babies want to be held. It's normal. I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of breastfeeding and latching, and I'm going to create a whole nother video, like a 1-month breastfeeding update video, but when he was first born, he was put directly on my skin, and, we started nursing immediately, and the latch wasn't perfect at that point. And I was totally okay with it. Again, it's something not only that I'm learning, but he is also learning how to breastfeed. It's a new skill for both of us. So since then, we've been to the lactation consultant twice, and we've done some exercises to kind of loosen his face up and his tongue and his lips and kind of open his mouth up wider, and his latch actually has improved. But believe it or not, we went and saw a cranial osteopath who specializes in working with newborns. Essentially, it's like a doctor chiropractor, so they do adjustments and things like that. But she kind of did some adjusting on him, and since that appointment, his latch has been so much better. Like, we don't feel pain at all, whereas in the beginning there was a little bit of pinching. And again, it's a learned skill. It's not supposed to hurt, but sometimes it does. But it's about improving and getting better for the both of you. So I'm really happy that his latch has improved, and according to his weight gain and his growth, he is getting enough, which is such a blessing. Some people do have a lot of breastfeeding issues, but I'm really, really happy and grateful to be at the place where we are in our breastfeeding journey. He's doing such a great job, and I feel like I'm doing a great job as well. So in terms of me in this first month or the 4th trimester period, a big thing or a big theme that has been, very prominent, very much in the forefront is being easy on myself, learning to be easy on myself. And I feel like a lot of us women, especially, we are conditioned to think that we need to constantly be productive and constantly be producing things and doing things and, constantly putting energy out. And for me, I do a lot for other people. It's just our nature is to be nurturers and do. And something that I realized in this postpartum period is that I really needed to slow down. So after you have a vaginal birth, if you tear, you do have a wound that needs to be healed outside, but you also have a wound inside your uterus, probably the size of your placenta, if that's what is coming off the inside of you, this pretty big wound that needs to heal. And in order to heal, you need to rest. So, you do have some postpartum bleeding and things like that. And if you don't rest, the bleeding and the healing will take longer. So I personally experienced kind of delayed healing, I guess, because I thought 8 days after giving a baby, or having a baby, it was a good idea to go for a walk, which I did. So I had a period where I was bleeding heavy and it kind of stopped, and then it started again just because I was doing so much. So a big theme for me has just been to be easy on myself, physically be easy and slow down, but also mentally be easy and not put so much on myself or expect so much of myself, because we are limited at this period in our lives. We are at this point where we do need to slow down and we do need to heal. And just to put so much on us, it's like mentally draining, and it's not a good practice. I mean, personally, days when I would be so hard on myself, like, oh, I need to be doing this, and this, and take care of the baby and try to take care of myself. It was just so much, and I just was beginning to get so burnt out. So we just really need to be easy. Like, this time in our life, we'll never get back. We'll never get back this period of him being a newborn or your baby being a newborn, and you really being able to lay and swim in that energy and just relax. It's so necessary, but also like so rewarding and such an amazing feeling to just be able to be with the baby and connect with the baby. And, ask for help and have other people take care of you. Like, you just birthed the freaking baby. I've also had to really affirm to myself that I'm doing a good job. We don't have a baby scale, and I am exclusively breastfeeding. You can't really tell how much your baby's eating. And if you don't weigh your baby regularly, then you don't really know if they're gaining weight or not. I mean, you can look at them and kind of feel them. It's like, okay, they probably are gaining weight, but you just don't know. So it's been really important for me to really trust that I am doing a good job. Another thing that's been really important for me during this period is to find time for myself. Being a new mom, it is really hard to find this time, but it's something that should be the top priority on your list. Baby first and you second. And for me, finding time is to journal, to make videos. I really enjoy doing this, to be creative, to take a shower, to go for a walk, just little things that kind of fill me up. So that's something that has been really nourishing, is just finding time for myself, filling up my cup, spending less time on social media, and really prioritizing doing the things that give me the most. And with that, I would say I've also really been prioritizing nutrition. So, we are in this healing period, and with healing, we need a lot. Our bodies literally just gave a new human being everything that they had. Our bodies gave everything to the baby. So this 4th trimester, or this period right after you have the baby, it's all about replenishing and giving our bodies back everything that they need so that we can achieve optimal health and well-being again. We want to live in a full state, not be depleted. We want to be nourished. So prioritizing nutrition and just eating super well, eating enough, and staying hydrated has also been very fulfilling and very helpful during this time. I don't know if I would be able to do anything or be able to handle any of the situations that I'm faced with if I wasn't properly nourished. So I invite any new mom, if you are having a hard time Maybe look and see what you're eating and make sure that you are getting proper nourishment and eating really good whole food, enough protein and carbs, and drinking enough water. It's so important, one, for the healing process, but also just to be your full self during this time. I did have my 6-week appointment, and it went really well. My body is healing well. Like I said, I did have the postpartum bleeding kind of stop and then start a little bit again. Not as heavy, just very light, but they say, if you are overly active during this period, the healing can take longer, which is exactly what had happened. So at this point, all the bleeding has stopped and my uterus looks great. I had an ultrasound and it looks great. Everything healed normally. Thankfully, I'm very grateful that everything went as well as it did. But next time I would definitely try to take it a little bit slower, or a lot slower than I did this time, and not try to jump back into going for walks and being super active and just rest and relax. Another really helpful thing for me during this time has been my supplements. So again, making sure that I'm replenishing myself after being depleted from having a baby is really important. So one thing that I did, which I believe to be really helpful, is I encapsulated my placenta. So after we have a baby, we have all these hormones in our body during pregnancy, and after we have the baby, they tend to just kind of drop off. And a lot of people, when your hormones do drop off, experience postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, baby blues is what they're called, but it's just like this sudden drop off of hormones and you're like sad and miserable. So encapsulating placenta has been shown to kind of help with this drop off. So instead of dropping off immediately or suddenly, you kind of have like this slow letdown. That doesn't mean that I have not been super emotional, because I have. The postpartum period, it's literally a whole new world. I'm a whole different person, and yes, my hormones still get to me some days. If I don't eat enough sometimes, I get really sad. So what I'm saying, these things are what help me kind of like stay level and stay sane and feel my best. But I have had periods where I haven't given myself all of these things, and I do get really emotional. Things can be hard sometimes. It's a new thing that's happening, that we're experiencing, that we're learning and growing through ourselves. And when you mix, unbalanced hormones in there with new, hard, challenging experience, it can be a little rough. But encapsulating your placenta has been shown to help, so I definitely prioritize taking my supplements daily. They even recommend after having your baby to continue your prenatal vitamins. So, if you feel called to do that, definitely do that. Just make sure your body is getting everything that it needs continuously. And yeah, the last thing that has been super important, or again, something that's been really in the forefront for me during this time, is just to be present. So everything that I mentioned before this that I've been doing to kind of fill my cup up and make sure that I'm full is really to make sure that I'm as present as possible during this period, because these days are fleeting. He is only going to get bigger as the days go by, and he is getting bigger right before our eyes, and it's just so precious to like be here with him in these moments and really learn who he is and just observe him acclimating to this world and becoming himself. And it's just so precious, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I really wouldn't want to not be present during this time. So yeah, just really focusing and prioritizing just being present and being here as much as possible. So I think I got everything in my 1-month postpartum update that's been going on. Like I said, he's almost 2 months old at this point. I'm not going to create a 2-month update video, but he's doing great, and we're so grateful. We feel so fortunate to have such a happy, healthy baby who's thriving, and we're at a place now where we feel like we kind of got the handle on things. You know, we know how to give ourselves time and also prioritize taking care of him and meeting his needs, and meeting our own needs. So it feels pretty good, you know, like I said, be adaptable, be flexible, because not every day is the same, but every day is great. And yeah, I just love him so much. And 1 month of being a new mom has been life-changing, and everybody says it when you're pregnant. They're like, your life will never be the same, and it will never be the same. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Friday.